I remember on occasions like Diwali and Pongal, we used to visit our grandparents' home. And whenever we visited them, we would seek their blessings. And at the end of it, they would always give us a small currency note. It used to be 100 in those days. And that was very valuable. We held it with a lot of love and pride that my grandmother gave me this money. We would go out there and spend it and buy clothes and buy sweets, whatever we wanted to do. It brought a great amount of bonding between the grandparents and the grandchild. It was a way in which we connected. I still remember those memories vividly. Today, grandparents want to do a lot more. Not just give out these small monies. They want to give a meaningful amount of gift to their grandchildren for their long-term studies. This video is all about how, as elder people or grandparents, we can create an investment route so that we can help fund our grandchildren's long-term education. Now, education is not cheap, especially higher education, overseas education, medical education are all prohibitively expensive. As parents struggle to provide for this, as grandparents, they would like to lend a helping hand. So, is there a way in which grandparents can provide an investment opportunity that goes towards the children's future? Absolutely. There are three very broad ways in which one, as a grandparent, can do. One is you can start by investing in the name of the grandchild. From the day the child is born, you can start putting aside a small amount of money or a lump sum. It will work towards the child's age of 18 or 20 as defined by you. Second, you can invest in your name a certain set of investments and make the grandchild your nominee in that investment. Of course, if the child is a minor, the minor will need a guardian, which is his father and mother will be the guardian. But in case something were to happen to you, that investment will move in the child's name, with the father or mother being the guardian, natural guardian. Third, you can also write a will and leave a certain amount of your assets in the name of your grandchild. All these three routes are open. And we will discuss and look at all these three in a little bit of a detail. First, can I invest a certain set of money directly in the name of my grandson or granddaughter towards their long-term needs? Absolutely you can. But there are a few conditions that needs to be fulfilled. One, that instrument must allow for such an investment. For instance, in mutual fund, there are certain mutual funds like the child plans. There are insurance plans that are available. You could have your PPF, you could invest into FDs, you can do a lot of things as long as they allow a third person, which is the grandparents, to be part of that investment. Next, the grandparents and the parents must have KYC compliant status. Without KYC, no investment is allowed, as we always know. So in this case, because the money is coming from the grandparents, they must have KYC, and because this investment is in the name of the minor whose guardians are the parents must also have their KYC done. So KYC compliance is very, very important. Most of the instruments that allow for these kind of investments have some kind of a lock-in to make sure that people don't come in and go out quickly. So you will have a 3-year or a 5-year or a 10-year lock-in, as the case may be. So lock-in is a good thing. Last but not the least, if at the time of maturity of the money, the child is not yet a major, then it cannot access the money, but it will have to wait to maturity, and after maturity, child must do a KYC as an adult, and then only it can access the money. So these are all conditionalities that are prevalent in an investment where the grandparent makes for the grandchild. But having said that, once it starts, let's say one children fund of a mutual fund is what the grandparent starts, they can choose to do it as a SIP or a lump sum, or on the occasion of yearly birthday, they can continue to purchase additionally into the same fund. All these routes provide for a reasonably largish corpus for the child at the end of the period. It's a very, very important way the grandparent can participate in the long term. Whether they are alive at that point in time or not, they can be part of the child's future. The second is they can name the child as a nominee in their investment. Like I mentioned earlier, in the event of their passing, the investment will kind of be changed into the name of the child, with the parents being guardians, and remain there till the child achieves majority, in which case you have to do a re-KYC and then the investment can be used by the child for higher studies. Last, like I said, put the investment in a will, and after the person passes away, the will gets executed and therefore the child will get a set of money. All these three routes are available. The first one, of course, is more immediate. You get to see it in action immediately, and therefore most grandparents prefer to use that route in terms of things. Let's look at a live example of somebody who wants to create a long-term corpus for their children. And believe me, education is the best support you need to give, because inflation on education-related activities is the highest. So as an example, we have done a small assessment of numbers which I think are relevant for us to look at. And in this example, we can look at if the child's age is 5 and the annual college expenses say 5 lakhs today, and the education inflation rate is 8%. We have assumed a rate of return of 12%. We have assumed the college education to be for 4 years, let's say it's an engineering degree, which means 20 lakhs is the today's cost of that education. But at the inflation rate of 8%, 12 years hence, when the child is 18 or 17, that annual college fees from 5 lakhs will move to about 12.59 lakhs. So the overall future requirement is almost 48 lakhs, for which all the grandparents need to do is a small sum of 14,959 or 15,000, let's say, as a monthly investment for the next 12 years to reach that point at a 12% rate of return, as I mentioned. Or today put up a lump sum of 12 lakhs, which will then become almost 48 lakhs at that point in time. Of course, none of these are guaranteed, but at a 12%, I think it's fair to understand that at least 12% return one will get out of equity-based investments in mutual funds over a long period of time. So these are all simple examples by which parents can put in a very small sum of money and thereby help the grandchild go through a very important phase of their life, which is higher education, post-graduation, so on and so forth. So gifting can be meaningful in the long run, and as grandparents, you can take the initiative to make sure that your grandchild is well provided for from a long-term education perspective.